still a bit of a mess after all the sanding work that I did, and I have to clean that up first thing. Today the weather is a bit milder here. It's about actually 9 degrees Celsius, so it's pretty mild for the time of year. I don't know how long it's going to last. They say it'll be a couple of days, but it's up and down the temperature. So I'm getting out here to do a bit of work while I can. Today I'm going to be looking at the layout inside the boat. I've spoken about this before, the way the boat is kind of meant to be a 4-berth boat, but that's pretty unrealistic. So I'm going to try and work out some kind of layout for me using the boat as a solo sailor and sort of camping out over a short period of time. I think that hoover might be dead. I don't think they're meant to smoke. Hoover number 2, which I cleaned and test ran before I bought on the boat to try and make sure there's not another potential fireball. It may seem a little bit pointless doing all this cleaning up, but I'm just going to make more of a mess inside here, but it's a lot easier to work in a clean workspace than a messy workspace, so just try and keep it clean as I go. Now, I've spoken about the berths in this boat being it's a 4-berth boat, meant to be able to sleep 4 people. Now that's kind of open to interpretation, and I'm just going to demonstrate to you now, because since I put these insert cover pieces into the benches here, it's become a little bit more apparent because I've been able to try them out. So I'm just going to illustrate what the issues are. Okay, so that's me in a 1/4 berth. Now it's reasonably alright, but it's somewhat coffin-like, to say the least. I'm 6'2", so it's not exactly the most comfortable place to be. It is doable, yes. I suppose I could use it. And there's exactly the same on the other side. But it's still not ideal. But I suppose in a pinch you could use it. You're not going to bang your head if you wake up in the night. Definitely wouldn't want to sleep the other way with your head at the other end anyway. Okay, so that's the 2 rear 1/4 berths. Okay, so this is the V berth, which is supposed to incorporate 2 bunks, left and right. Now my feet are right down the end into where the anchor locker is, and my head just about fits. Once again, it's not ideal. It's okay. It's okay. You can do it. Personally, I'm a side sleeper, so I'd be sleeping like this in it. Oh, maybe. But my idea, what I'm thinking about doing, based on these discoveries of how the layout is and what the level of comfort is I'm thinking about maybe using the entire V-berth and putting in a piece across to bridge this section here, the open section, and then that will mean feet forward and my body sort of here. Now obviously not doing inclined sit-ups, but I suppose you could. Then you keep fit arrangement. Anyway, if I put a piece in here, I think that'll be a lot more comfortable. A lot less restrictive, a lot more options of which way to turn, and you won't feel so confined. So it's just a matter of seeing how far I need to come here with a piece. And that of course leads to the issue of what to do with the layout here for the galley part of it, because I don't know, do I really need these two big pieces sticking out? I'm probably going to put the actual galley over that position over there. But do I need this side here as well? Same sort of layout? Or would it be more beneficial to have this berth here on this side actually cut off at this level here and turn that into an entire settee that you could sit down on? Maybe two people could sit on that quite comfortably, rather than having this part here. It's not structural really, it's just like a bulkhead. I know it's supporting this part here for this, but could easily cut this out here, and that will increase the size of the bench there, the settee. So instead of having it add another, let me see, instead of having 800 millimeters, which is less than a metre, you actually have a metre 125 centimetres, 1,200, so a metre, 1.2 metres. Now that would be a reasonable settee size. So that means doing away with this area here. So can I build something on the galley side, on this side, which will incorporate enough storage space, a place for the cooker, a place for a sink, storage for pots and pans and all that kind of stuff? That is the question. So what I'm going to do is do some kind of mock-ups using cardboard, same stuff I was using for a couple of templates, try and do some kind of a mock-up on the galley side and see what that layout, various layouts look like. And you know, because rather than just trying to start to cut timber and make it up as I go along, I'd rather do a bit of practicing with the cardboard and give me, you know, maybe give me some ideas that I don't have now just by doing that. So that's what we're doing now. Now, quite obviously I'm going to be sitting down in this position if I'm going to be cooking. I'm not going to be standing up, because if I am, I'm not going to be able to do anything. I'm not going to be able to do anything. So this is where I'll be sitting to use the cooker or the sink. I'm toyed with the idea of putting in some kind of a little miniature solid fuel stove in here to you know, to have a bit more comfort here in you know, cooler weather, or to extend the period of time through the year I'll be able to go sailing and be out on the boat. Maybe not necessarily actively sailing, but out on the boat somewhere. So thought about that and how would you do that, and you know, I've made a few small stoves, rocket stoves and things like that, and possibly making a small wood burning stove to fit in here. The ideal place would be somewhere here in this corner, because then to vent the chimney out you could either go straight through the top there or through the side. Now it's just hard to know, and I like the idea, but is it practical? You know, of course the other thing about having some kind of a small wood stove means that I could potentially use that for cooking on. So it's a dual purpose thing. You can heat with it, you can also cook with it. You know, it's not like I live in, you know, somewhere like in the tropics or in Florida or something where it's scorching hot and you're, you know, going to be in unbearable heat, and the last thing you want is heat inside in the thing, even to cook or whatever. That's not the case here in Ireland. Here in Ireland, even in summertime, it's still not scorching hot. It gets to 14 degrees Celsius. We're, you know, putting shorts and t-shirts on and telling each other how hot it is. So it's not, it doesn't get scorching hot here. Like, I mean, during the summer here this year we got a couple of days of in 20s Celsius. That's it. There's no big heat wave here. So a small little wood burning stove would be a great addition to it. And as I say, the location for that, the ideal location for that would probably be here. But as for venting out the chimneys, you'd have to do the chimney with a detachable stack. So you have the stack goes out, and then you have like a piece on it just to close it off, to blanket off. And then when you stop somewhere and you're going to use the fire, you take out the extension stack, so like 3 foot high piece, probably with some kind of a device on the top, either a H stack or a spinner, to prevent backdraft down into the fire. You'd only put that on when you were stopped somewhere at anchor or the dock. You're not going to use it while you're sailing, you know, because obviously if you're moving through the water and the wind, it's going to backdraft anyway, and it's obviously not going to be safe to have a fire lit on. And if it's that cold that you need a fire while you're sailing, you're either going to park, you know, anchor up somewhere, or you're going to go home. You're not going to sit on the boat. So, yeah, the sink will probably stay here, because there's a through hole for you know, above the water line for the waste out of the sink to go out of. So it seems a bit pointless to make that run any longer than it needs to be. So that's just basically straight out of the sink and out. That's it. So that's a no-brainer, really. As far as cooking goes, I could put in like a small camping stove. I have a small camping stove which is self-contained, which has, you know, a cylinder you just put into the stove. It's pretty effective, you know, but it's not going to be, you know, you're not going to, the gas only lasts for a short while. This boat originally had a bigger gas cylinder in the rear lazarette, because it's drilled out, there's holes in it obviously to vent gas in the event of a leak. There was a pipe run through for a regulator, but I removed all that when I cleared the boat out, because, you know, realistically you don't want to mess about with stuff like that. You want to put it in a new. So if I put a propane stove that runs off of a gas bottle in the rear lazarette, then it'll go here too, and I'll run all new pipe for it if I'm going to do it. But I have an old one out of the caravan, but it's about that wide, so it's nearly taking up that full space. And I don't know if I want something that big. I mean, I'm only going to be doing one pot cooking. I'm not going to be cooking big meals. I don't need 3 burner stove. So it's a bit of a dilemma. So it is. The first stove is probably the right size. It's pretty compact, about that size, but it only runs on self-contained little propane cylinders. The bigger stove is probably too big. So maybe I'm just going to have to look out for a single burner propane stove, same size as the portable one I have, but that can be, plumbed into the mains gas and do that. Because the last thing you want is, if you're having a gas stove for cooking on, the last thing you want to be is running out when you're out using the boat. And with a big full-size bottle, you're less likely to do that. So, well, if I'm keeping this bulkhead here, then this actual this place here will remain, and I'll just have to put a new door on that. So that will remain as is there. So then I have this space here, which is the rear quarter berth, and in the quarter berth is there. There's not much point in taking it out because it's a storage area underneath that insert that I made last week. So I need to get access to that area there to use that as sort of a deep storage area, and then use this area above as a storage area. Now I suppose there's always the option of putting some kind of a downward piece at that point there. Something at that level there, and making sort of cutouts there so I can put through stuff into store in that space behind, because it's about, like, it's that deep, so you can realistically put stuff in there, use that area there rather than having it just empty. So if I put a sort of a piece of the front end cutouts, I can put stuff in behind there, maybe divide it up into 3 sections or something like that, and do that. And then that leaves all this space in underneath. I don't know whether to cut into the cockpit seat there and make a new hatch to go in there and use that as a rear sort of lazarette locker from the cockpit to use that space. I want to maximise the space for use for myself, as I can use it on my own and have that bit of comfort, a nice area to do a bit of food preparation. That's another consideration too, is how to work counter space. The sink, I can probably do an insert that drops in, do a countertop over this, have the sink recessed in, and then an insert which drops in, and that would mean this area here was either sink or with the piece insert over the top of it, was counter space as well. So we could use it that way. So dual purpose. So yeah, doing your food prep here, whatever you have to do, into your poly pan here on the cooker. But then, if I'm going to put in a little wood burning stove, do I need to put it down at this lower height where the Funk original height was, or would it be just as good up here if I make up a small stove that fits on top of that area there? So I have to shield this here with some kind of heat-proof material probably, but like it's small enough, it's not going to make much difference whether it's sitting down at this level or it's sitting up at this level. If it's in there and it's heating, it's going to heat. I don't know is the answer. Maybe it's, you know, maybe it's a ridiculous idea putting a wood burning stove in here. Let me know in the comments what you think. Is a wood burning stove a practical idea? Or is it something I should just, you know, forget about and wait till some point in the future when I have a bigger boat? You know, it's more feasible of an idea to do. So I'm going to start on cutting out the timber framing for this. Nothing's fixed, it's all just sitting in place. So that's how far I've got. Just going to have to leave it now for this evening. This is the advantage of the cover. I can just leave everything as it is, close the boat up and come back and pick up just where I left off. That's just another angle on the bit of framing I've made up here. I'm not going to get to finish the project that I started in the boat this week. Time's caught up with me. Like everybody else this time of year, I'm thinking about winding up for the end of the year and family stuff. I know some of you are celebrating Christmas like me, other people are celebrating other festivals, and I'd just like to take this opportunity to wish you peace and happiness over this period and prosperity for the new year. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank everyone that takes the trouble to subscribe to my channel, to watch my videos, to give me thumbs up and to make comments on the videos. It really encourages me to keep making these videos and putting them out there on YouTube. So for that, I'd like to thank each and every one of you. That's it. This is the last video I'm going to produce this year, and with that, I'll see you next time.